Good evening and welcome to this edition of Referee's Corner. I'm your host, Earl Bass, and I am joined by no new strangers to Bermuda in Jeff Hartley and Roy Naylor. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me this evening. We're going to be talking about something that a lot of fans should spend more time doing, and that is observing matches as opposed to trying to be the official in the match.
By doing that, Earl, it probably ruin their game. Ruin their entertainment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's first talk a little bit about what it is you guys do and how you're helping to progress the game itself. So Roy, give us a sense of what it is you do and how it actually helps facilitate a match.
Right. Well, I'm a referee's observer, and what might seem strange is something what you just said there. When you're watching a game of football, you can watch it on TV. It can be Manchester United versus Liverpool. You've got 22 international players, and you end up watching the referee because it's habit.
Right.
And you're watching to see what he does, how he does it, and if you sat in a club with your friends, whenever the referee makes a mistake, it's always my mate that's made the mistake. I don't know the fella from Adam, but it's my mate. But that's what I do. I play as we all do. We start off. I played, went refereeing, and then I decided to go observing. And observing is basically you're giving a professional critique to the performance of a referee. We have something in the UK now called CORE, which is a Centre of Refereeing Excellence. That has all referees in it, and the referees get watched. And I'm a CORE coach as well as an observer. So when I go out, I'm actually watching referees, seeing what they do, and then I'm trying to develop them at the same time. And that's what observers should be doing. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to go to a football match and watch a referee, watch his performance. Oh, you've made a mistake there. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, you've done. All right, he's going to make a mistake. I was at a game on Saturday, and I was in the dressing room with the referees, and I said, look, you're going to go out there today. In 90 minutes, all three of you are going to make a mistake. It's human nature. Mm-hmm. I said, but whatever you do, don't try and compensate it. Just get rid of it. And then what we'll do, we'll talk about it after and see why you made the mistake. Because if you start thinking about it when you're refereeing, you're going to make another one. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens with refereeing. So we get to the game, we'll watch the game, we'll talk to the referees, try and get them calm, and try and get them on your side, because it's the team of four. Mm-hmm. In the old days, and I think Jeff will admit, it used to be a team of three, and then this fella used to turn up with a hat on, hiding round a tree and watching the referee.
I remember it well, Roy.
Sniper in the crowd. But them days have changed because it's a big team event, and what we're trying to do is make the referees better. Mm-hmm. And the only way we're going to make them better is watch what they do, praise what they do well, try and encourage them what they don't do well, and talk about their problems. And then after that, we have a debrief in the dressing room afterwards. We'll discuss the points and the points raised and what they've done and the discipline, record the discipline, if it's been done right, if it's been done wrong. Because at the end of the day, the referee might give a penalty, and we've got a good angle and we think, hang on, mate, you're wrong. So we can discuss it with him. Mm-hmm. Because if he's giving the wrong decision, it's usually because he's in the wrong position. Wow. And what I have a little thing in my own head. You'll find all observers are different, but we have the same goal. But we go about it in a different way. One of my main things is when I'm talking to a referee, I just say to you, look, mate, you've got to be fit. You have to be fit. And once you're fit, you can get in the right position. And once you get in the right position, you can make the right decision. Mm-hmm. Once you make the right decision, you can apply the law well, and then you've got match control, and then that's your game. You've got everything in the palm of your hand. Because if you can get them things into place, you'll very rarely make decisions. What we tend to see at certain levels of football are referees that they'll blow the whistle and they'll stand there, they'll make the decision, and it's as though, don't I look pretty? There's pointing one way. I look really nice here, don't I? And I'm saying to myself, I'm going, get in there. You've given a decision. You're 20 yards away from it. It's the right decision, but start running at it. Because once that fella's going to turn around, in all the years I've been doing this, I have never, ever seen a player turn around to the referee and say, thank you, ref, that was an excellent decision. They tend to say different things.
Yes.
And the thing is, if that referee is 20 yards away, they're going to say it. If that referee runs at it, and he's then 5 yards away from it, they're not going to say anything. Because all of a sudden, this bloke stood over him. And for me, I'm praising the referee because I'm observing and saying, well done. You've done well there. So when you do that, then when he goes on to his next decision, he does the same sort of thing. So a referee that's close, so there's his fitness and his positioning working, and he's applying the law, and he's got match control because the players are respecting him.
Right.
And that's, like I said, that all observers are different. We all do it different ways. We all look for different things. And one of the downfalls of some observers is, I wouldn't have done that.
Right.
When I refereed, I did it this way. And that's, to me, I tend to, excuse me, I tend to get a little bit ratty with observers that do that, because it's them that's doing the game of football, not you.
Right.
And that's what we need to get into observers and let them know that that's the best way of doing it.
Sure.
Do what they do, watch what the referee does, praise him or guide him. You don't have to slag him off. Praise him or guide him.
Yeah, well, let me ask Jeff, because Jeff, as a former player, official, and been through the whole gamut, what type of assessor would you consider yourself?
I've been assessing probably about 15 years, starting off just at the local level, the local parks, county level, and we move up to Supply League, etc., etc. I'm currently now at step 2B of in the National League in the UK. And I think to be an observer, you've got to have a real passion for the game. You've got to really want to put something in the game. And I feel, as Roy touched on earlier, and he mentioned the assessor behind a tree, open the door and I've got you. Well, heck, you've got to have a feel for the game and want to give something to these referees and observers that we possibly hadn't. I've often thought to myself, and I've said to some of my colleagues, I wish I had somebody like me helping me when I was a referee. I'm not saying it may have made any difference whatsoever, but it might have made that little bit extra help me along the way. Rather than in the old days, I've got you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right, and going home and throwing a kit bag into the garage and kick the dog in. But believe me, that's happened. That doesn't happen anymore now. We're really focused on Phil Knight and the guys in the UK focused on developing observers, which we've tried to an extent with the guys in Bermuda, Lloyd, Earl, Dwight, I believe.
Dwight.
Yeah, Kuhn, Kim. There's a few others that really sort of help them. And the key is, and Roy said, we're all observers. We all see things and do things differently. We could watch a game of football where there's 6 observers watching it. And we could possibly all have a slightly different feel for what happened there. So that where we're going now, we're trying to, we are developing observers to be consistent, to
Right.
ensure that what the message that they get from Roy is the same they get from Jeff, and that goes from the introductions, which are important. You get your appointment, contact the referee as an observer, get there in plenty of time. Pre-match conversation is really, really important as an observer.
Right.
Get to know the referee. Make him know that you're a part of the team, and your key role is to develop. And to develop, you're going to get some strengths and maybe a few development points.
Mm-hmm.
There may come a time during that debrief later in the game where we'll agree to disagree,
Right.
depending on what's happened. But the goal is simply to develop. Where a lot of observers go wrong to some degree is they'll have the post-match debrief, which sometimes is maybe a little disjointed, and the referee will go home and he's scratching his head because he doesn't have a clue what's going to happen when the report comes through the post or via email, as it comes electronically now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really important that once you've seen the game, you have a chat in the dressing room 10, 15 minutes after the match with the referee, and it must be a discussion, not in the old days, telling the referee you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you could do that. A discussion, an open discussion. Tell me about that decision you made in the 15th minute. He'll give you an explanation. Well, and one of the key things I've learned is you can get a referee using good skills to identify what he could do better. For example, a referee may make some kind of mistake, and during a debrief, you talk about it, and you say to him, well, what do you think you could do better next time? And he will tell you. So he's actually writing the report for you, but once you've done that, it's then vitally important that the report you write, he gets a few days later, reflects that debrief. Because if the referee is going home and he's thinking, wow, that was great, and he comes back and he thinks, oh, dear me, I've got a report. The observer didn't mention that. He didn't mention that. And it's not. And so going back to what I said earlier, we're really, really working hard in the English FA to develop all our observers. So we're all singing, if you like, if I use a singing from the same hymn sheet.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Jeff 100%. And I think what you'll find that observers are picking up off other observers. Okay. Especially if they pick up something that's good. Each one, I said, we all do things differently, but we're all are going for the same goal. And I did mention at the start that I was a core coach. And the guys that I've got with me, I've got 7 referees that I look after.
Okay.
And the first thing I've always told them, I said, if you ever get observed, and the observer comes into the dressing room afterwards, hit him first. And I don't mean hit him. Hit him first with what you think.
I need to know who your referees are, Roy.
Yeah. Just say to him, I'm shattered. I tell you what, I've done some running today, and all of a sudden you put it in the assessor's head of your fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I on Saturday, and I've done it a few times, I get into the debrief, and Jeff will have done the same thing. And you're actually guiding the referee on to what he's going to do in the game. Because if a referee plays an advantage, and that's it. If you've done a report, Jeff, you'll see it, advantage. And if he plays an advantage and he does nothing else, then his mark is a 7. Because he's done nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's an expected performance, yeah.
I know. And I said to the referee on Saturday, I said to him, if an advantage occurs, I said, I'm going to be watching you because I want to see if you go back to the offender and even the player that's been offended. Mm-hmm. And I said, a tip I give to a lot of referees is the foul starts and the referee shouts, "Play on advantage, number 4, I'm coming back for you." And play goes on. It might go on for 30 seconds and the play goes out. And you'll often see the referee stood there going, "Who the blooming hell was that?
Right.
Who did it?" And his assistant will go, "Number 4." And then all of a sudden, from one incident advantage, you've got awareness, you've got teamwork, working with your mate. So that 7 that was a standard thing has now jumped up to a 7.5, and it has done for your assistant as well.
Yeah, and that's all follows up with the competencies, which I think we discussed previously, where an observer, the referee and observer, must work to certain competencies. And Roy said there, advantage isn't just advantage; it's recognising if the advantage is actually an opportunity that leads to an attack on goal. For example, we don't want to be playing advantages with 10 minutes to go in a game where a team's winning 1-0 and the team that's winning 1-0 has a bad challenge in their own penalty area and a referee plays advantage. No. That's not an advantage. That needs a free kick. But not only an advantage, we need to see the referee use the proper arm signal, whether he uses 2 arms or 1 arm, that's entirely up to him. Use the words play on advantage, and as Roy said, most importantly, be seen to have that retrospective conversation, even if it's just a pointing, whatever it may be, in passing, because an observer's looking for that, ticking the box. And similarly, when the cautioning procedure, they're expected not only to recognise the reckless challenge, the stopping and preventing, promising attack, etc., but also deal with it in a controlled manner and calm manner. So isolate the player, tell him why he's being cautioned, and then show him the yellow card.
Yeah. And I think what you just said there, Jeff, earlier, because we both observe at them days are gone. My knee keeps telling me don't run anymore, Roy.
I just had a call tonight if I could do a game on Saturday. No.
Well, actually, we both observe at level 2B, which is a good standard of football, and it's worth them referees. They should be of a standard where they're doing this normally. Because I'll go and watch a 2B referee. Jeff will go and watch a 2B referee on Saturday, and I'm actually looking at him as a 2B, but I'm not looking at him as a 2B. I want to see, can you actually referee at 2A?
Absolutely. And
that's the thing. You go and watch a level 3 referee, and his next step is a 2B. Can he referee at 2B? I watched the gap referee on Saturday. He's a level 3 referee. It was a tough game. There was 1,318 on it, watching the crowd. And I kept thinking, could you referee at a level higher? No. But you're doing very well at this level. So let's try and improve him at this level to try and get him on a little bit further. And the worst thing is, and Jeff will have had it as well, we turn up to watch a game of football and someone will say, "Hiya, Roy, I've not seen you for 3 years. The last time you observed me was such and such a time." And I'm going, why have you done that?
Yeah. Why have you done that? Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Why
hopefully you've improved since then. Because what they do, honestly, Earl, they'll look and they'll go, "I've got Roy Naylor. I've got Jeff Hartley observing me on Saturday. Oh, there's his observation. Oh, he likes referees to go wide this one. And this fellow will go and referee on Saturday and go wide and cock his game up."
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's not been doing that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
these are the things that we've got to try and guide the referees into and help them. And what you said earlier, Jeff, and I've got it actually wrote down here in highlighter, consistency.
Absolutely.
I wrote some notes down of things I was going to say. We've said them, but that one, consistency, is the one that we
another
need
word
to...
that links in there as well, Roy, is as well as being consistent as an observer, we have to be honest with ourselves and with the referee. There's sometimes and that you've got to give the referee some news that he maybe doesn't want to hear. But the news is really not wanting to hear. He probably knows is going to get it anyway if the observer anything worth his salt. But
Yeah.
so and that again comes with experience. And the higher you go, referees are sort of switched on to that, and they'll have a different agenda. They'll try and knock you off track. So, for example, you may ask something or about whatever, and they'll come off another track. You aren't getting what you want to, so you've got to quickly come up with plan B. Another sort of come round the back side and ask the question in another way. That comes with experience. But the key, the main thing for me is observers. We've all been referees. I've enjoyed being a referee. I'm still part of the game. I'm passionate about what we're doing now, and long may it continue.
Yeah. Let me ask you a quick question. If a referee is struggling, especially in the first 45 minutes, are you the type of guys that would go in the changing room and try to calm him down, or
no, because you'll find it might sound strange, but it's a team game.
Yeah.
And I won't go in at half time because I'm hoping his two assistants will have told him what he's doing wrong.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the team, because I've actually wrote it down once with a referee, and I spoke to him at the end of the game in the debrief, and I said, "Have you got a twin brother?" And he went, "No, why?" I said, "Well, a different referee came out in the second half, and he looked a lot like you."
Right.
And he went, "I know." He said, "This," and he pointed to his senior assistant referee, and he said, "He gave me a right going over at half time." He said, because he saw what I was doing wrong. And that's the experience that you're hoping that comes in. Okay. We don't need to go in at half time. Right. We don't need to, because we'll do it at the end of the game. We'll do it at the end of the game. And hopefully, like you say, you pick them little nuggets up. But touching on something, I mean, I do Northwest. When I'm observing, I do Northwest, and I go down. I know you won't know her, but I'll go down as far as Telford and around that area.
Yeah.
And I'll come up as high as Kendal and Workington.
Okay.
Right. I have gone over as far as Whitby. But you also find where, Jeff, you be coming down and things like that, the standard of football, not the subject of the standard. Yeah, you could call it the standard, because you've got Bermudan football, and the referees are going to be refereeing that, and the observers are going to be watching them. Mm-hmm. Now, we might watch that and think, whoa, there's something different there. Mm-hmm. You have to adapt, no matter where you go. When I go down to Telford way, I know a lot of them are like Liverpool and things like that. But before all that, I always classed the Midlands as namby-pamby football, because they'd kick you and say sorry. You come up to
the Northeast, right?
No, you come up to Liverpool, and they'd kick you and ask you if you wanted a plaster. There's a difference in that standard of football.
That's right.
But now, because the referees are coming from the Northeast, coming off to the Northwest, it's the referees that are seeing the different standard of football, and that is what I'm really enjoying. Yeah, you're seeing the different standards.
Yeah, just touching on observers as well as observing in the National League and contribute level. We're also every now and again the County FA will ask us to look at a new referee. And when we look at a new referee, we've got to adapt a different set of competencies. And I'll use the advantage for example. If you see a level 7 referee play advantage, and he shouts and signals it, well, that's a tick in the box for him at that level. If he recognises foul play and a consistent level, well, good. But maybe if the referee at a level 5 would be expected to as I said earlier, to recognise the advantage, have the retrospective chat with that player, and do everything once. So it's a total different ball game, if you like, when we're looking at a guy on the local park who's wanting to progress. Well, you can't expect somebody from the local park to referee in a Premier League game the following week, and that's a skill that you really need as an observer. And I think, and it's good. I still help with the local FA occasionally. I think the young lads like to see the experienced observer come and have a chat with them and come and have a word with them. It's it builds rapport, and you'll see these guys maybe in later, like Roy said, I saw you 3 years ago. You've come back, but you're a level 7 now. You're level 4. You're on supply league, aren't you? You're doing really, really well. And what I like most of all about it, this role, Earl, is you may see a referee at supply league as a level 4 refereeing 1 year, and you give him some advice, and a couple of years later you maybe see him at a higher level, and he's ticking those boxes. And I think to myself, wow, I've helped the guy. I've got some pride. Well, without saying anything, you think, wow, I've got something out of developing that guy. And you'd see him go forward. And I'm pretty sure that the majority of those guys think, well, thank you as well, Mr. Observer. Thank you very much. So it's great. I love it.
I agree with you 100%, and I'm not going to name drop, but I can remember observing certain people, like, especially this area, Anthony Taylor, Chris Cavanagh, Paul Tierney. Paul Tierney came to our referees meeting a few years ago, and I said, "Yeah, Paul, here's that assessment I did on you." I handed it, and he went, "I've got better, haven't I?" I said, "Yeah, only a bit." And now he shaved his hair. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. I said, "What have you shaved your hair off for?" He said, "I couldn't afford the shampoo." That's all he said.
So let me ask you, because Roy, you said it at the beginning, how the assessor, the observer is now part of the team. How much has the game improved being a part of it and not the one hiding behind the tree coming in and barking at the end of the game? Because if the team of officials is working hand in hand and this observer is working alongside them, it makes it go a lot smoother. So how much has the game improved having that relationship?
I'm not so sure about the game improving. Sorry, Jeff. I'm not sure about the game improving because that's the players' standard. But I'm 100% convinced that the standard of refereeing has improved because we work more as a team than we do as them three and us. Because it works other ways as well. I mean, you speak to committee men, you speak to chairmen because they know who you are. And when if you're at a ground, even spectators know who you are because you're dressed. You've got your coat on with your 3 lions, and they go, "Are you the assessor?" "No, I'm the observer."
No, ice cream.
All right. One of my favourite things, you say, "Look, mate, I'm an assessor, not an assassin." So,
yeah.
I think if I may just add a little bit to what the question you just added, Earl, I think the game's improved because the FA are really working hard to gain consistency from observers and the message we deliver. And the more we work on, we are developing it, the better it will get. I've listened to many observers debrief. Some are disjointed, some flow. So there's a way to do that, and we're getting there where that consistency is coming. So the referees are getting a consistent message from the observers. What's required, and that benefits them as a referee to be consistent in applying the laws of the game and the game.
Sure.
And by doing that, you were 100% right, Jeff. And by doing that, being consistent as a referee, it allows the players to play football, which again, it's a two-way thing. Going back to what you said earlier, it does or it will and it is improving the standard of football because the standard of refereeing has improved. Not according to the spectators.
Right. Well, we can't please all of them.
No. What they say is, I paid my money. I can abuse who I want.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about Bermuda side. You guys had the opportunity to have Lloyd come abroad and do a course and so forth. But whilst you guys have had the chance to see Bermuda, what did you think of some of our officials and what help can be offered, can be lended to help improve them?
There's no question, Lloyd. You've got some good officials out there. There's no question about that, and you've got some budding observers. Lloyd is certainly one of them. I think is it Mike Weir? Is it Mike?
Yes, Martin.
He's another one. And what we did, we actually put the observers through a training course like observers do over here, working with competencies. We'd actually ask them to watch a game, an English FA game, and then put a report on it. And they all put these reports to us, and we looked at them, and I had a few conversations by email to Kuhn and Lloyd and Martin, and the goal is to get that successive, consistent approach to these guys. And I think the success we've had with Lloyd, and there's no question about that. The support he's had over there and how he did well when he came over here last year is testament, if you like, to the effort, not only from our side, but how you guys, the observers in particular, are keen to develop and hence develop the referees over in Bermuda. So we've got started. It's a matter of simply keeping going, and hopefully that message that's going with Lloyd's success, Cranston can bang the drum and say, look, this is what Lloyd's doing. Come on, guys, let's come on board. Let's have a few more of you observing, and people like Lloyd and Martin would be able to support them. I think it's important because we're so far apart. Roy and I can't come over and sort of mentor, if you like, right. on the day, like a bit of a chat, etc. But what we can do, we've got this type of system. Watch a game. There's no reason why a game couldn't be used like Dandy Town versus some whatever. Watch a game. They put a report on it. We have a look at. We read the report without watching the game, because what we're looking at is the report. We've got to read the report, the observers book, and get a snapshot of how the referee's done. Yeah, and mark him. So by doing that, and that support and that help, and Cranston banging a drum, if you like, there's no reason why football in Bermuda and observers in Bermuda cannot go. But you've got to want to be doing it. You've got to be passionate. I know there's one or two of them certainly are, and long may it continue, because people like Roy and I are more than willing to help, and I'm glad I'm talking to you today because sometimes I talk to Cranston. He's got this beautiful beach outside and this nice blue sky, and I'm looking outside and all I can see is rain, snow, black clouds and ice. So at least that view, guys, a lot better.
So I didn't see Lloyd, because I'm not saying I've come on late. I came on when I was asked to come on, but listening to what everyone's been saying, it appears that the seed's been planted, and now we're just going to make that grow. But I know Jeff is on the same ilk as myself and a vast amount of observers that do what we do. And the reason we do it is because we enjoy it, because we don't do it for the money. So now what we've got to do, your observers in Bermuda, we've got to let them to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because it's an enjoyable thing to do, because you get a great deal of pleasure out of praising someone and recognizing praise. And you get a great deal of pleasure out of doing something what Jeff said earlier. You see a referee who's 3 years down the line, who's listened to what you've said, and he's better. And that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. Praise, enjoy the game, enjoy what you do. And I don't think any of us don't.
Right. Right.
Because you definitely don't do it for the money.
Next question. Why was the name changed from assessor to observer?
Because most people used to think it was assassin.
Which is why I had to explain every time I'm an assessor, not an assassin.
Yeah, I just have to sort of guess at the answer, really. It's just you're observing rather than assessing, you know.
That's it. That's why it was
it's
changed.
just made a more objective word, I suppose, description. I can't think of any other word. I believe it is a better word, but the club coaches and the managers were still called assessors over here. They never ever called us an observer. It's the observers who relate to observers as observers, but generally it's still assessors.
Well, yeah, you're right. Generally,
assistant referees are still called liners. Doesn't matter. It'll never. I don't suppose that'll ever change.
Right.
Well, when they actually came about and they said that it was law 6 linesmen, and that's what it was, and then it changed it to assistant referees, and I thought that's what they used to do anyway.
Right.
But just changed the word.
Yes.
It's like the laws of the game. I often see, because you see a game of football and you see a foul, and the referee will caution someone for misconduct. You go and look in the laws of the game and see if them words are in there, because you can't get foul and you can't get misconduct. there's no such thing as a foul. Play on words, Earl. That's what they do. Assessor, assessing, observer.
Sure. So let me ask, because you might have someone watching this, whether it be in Bermuda, somewhere else around the world. How does one get involved to become an observer?
Initially, you'll probably get people like myself, who's member of local county FA, and Roy is also involved in local county FA. We'll probably tap up, if you like, an experienced referee who's probably switched on, who could possibly add value to the game by being observed. I'll tell you a little story of how I became into refereeing. And once upon a time, a long time ago, we used to play. I played football, and we used to meet on a Sunday afternoon in the local football club and have a couple of pints. And the president of the club used to say, always try and encourage us footballers who were getting on a bit to referee. Not on your head. No way. No, I'm not going to do that. You're having a laugh. And constantly, he battered me. Oh, go on the course, Jeff. Go on the course. So I went on the actual referee's course, passed it. And he goes, have you had a game this week, Jeff? No, I've been playing football. And unfortunately, the gentleman passed away suddenly. And anyway, it's a story I'll never forget. And at his funeral, his wife said to me, "Here you are, Jeff. John would like you to have that." And he gave me a whistle, an engraved whistle. And I thought, well, of all those times you'll try to get me to referee, now you're not here, I've got no choice, have I? So the following Saturday, I was out there doing. That's just a story from me how I got into refereeing, and it's true. But to answer your question, it's people like Roy and I and other members of the county affairs who are encouraging, recognising people who possibly can assist. generally there's not very often you'll get somebody to be an observer who's not really been involved in the game of football.
It's usually when they come to the end of their playing career or their refereeing career, and they think, well, that's it, what am I going to do? As I said to you, Earl, right at the start, it was either go observing or assessing at that time, or go shopping.
Right.
And observing, assessing, won. Hands down. But it's similar
You do observe when you go shopping too. So yeah. Observing something you really enjoy.
What Jeff said, I mean, I think we all started out the same way. Mine was the same. Finished playing. Do you want to take refereeing? As I said earlier to you, no chance. I'm not going to do that. I can't stand the abuse. So I'll go on, have a go. You'll enjoy it. So you do, and then we held courses. There was a course in Liverpool, observer course. Anybody want to have a go at it? And that was sent out to the local referee societies and the referee and the leagues. You know, it went out that way, and some people went on it, and I thought I'll have a go, because I always remember when I'd actually took the referees course. A great bloke, Harry, and he came round my house on the Monday, and I took the referees bit Monday, Tuesday. I took the exam on the Thursday, and I refereed my first game on the Saturday. And the worst thing was, I can always remember, I gave an indirect free kick for an offside, and I had my hand up, and one of my skills when I was a player was I was a goal scorer. I used to score all the goals, and I had my hand up, and this ball was coming over, and I thought, I'm going to head this. This is mine. This is mine. Well, best not. You know, we'd be in the referee. It wouldn't go down well, would it? Putting it in the back of the net. Moving along.
Yeah. But I think, Earl, Lloyd, what an advertisement he is currently in Bermuda to encourage you guys out there, Cranston and his team, to recognise potential observers, just like Roy and I were recruited. And you know, there's opportunities. The world's your oyster. You know, I say to some of the guys, you know, why don't you be a referee? I don't want to be a referee. Oh, all right, but you've got more chance of progressing to the big time as a referee as you have of a footballer. It's nailed on. The world
where we are. I mean, at your end, you can do it. I used to say in the courses, what's your chances of playing at Man United? No chance. You got a good chance of refereeing there.
Absolutely.
Oh. And all of a sudden, again, going back to what I said, you've planted a seed.
Yeah.
You planted a seed, and some of the guys, I mean, those three that I mentioned earlier, they've been doing it. They've been doing it. So it's well worth doing it.
Sure.
If you do it well.
That's if you do it well. And if you're gonna give someone advice after a match on how they can improve, or just give them that credit of what they've done well, do that well, and it just goes on down the line.
Yeah, it's a natural progression. You plant the seed, you go and do the game, you watch the game, you do the debrief, and you shake hands, and you all walk away as friends because you've helped them, and they actually help you sometimes.
Yes, yeah.
There's some of the things that they say, and you think, "Oh, I never thought of that. Forgot about it." No, but again, you walk away.
There are sometimes we do the debrief, and it's not always easy. As I said earlier, you might have a difficult conversation to have, but the key thing is there's always many things that a referee has done right. Make sure that you mention something that it needs to improve on, but finish on a high.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, you really should have cautioned number 5 for that reckless challenge in the 55th minute. Or your cautioning technique could do with a little bit of polish. However, let me remind you about that advantage you played in the 55th minute. It was absolutely superb. Well done. And that's how you need to And if, you know, obviously it's and I really enjoy it though. It's great, and also enjoy doing this. Phil Knight, I could shoot him at times if he's listening. He keeps giving me all these jobs to do, but I just love it. Great.
Well, I do want to thank you both for joining and giving us some insight into the role of the observer, not the assessor, the observer, and how you guys are assisting, improving the referee team, the official team, because if they don't improve, football don't improve. It kind of pulls the game down. So, and I want to thank you guys for assisting our locals here in Bermuda. And we look forward to probably seeing you again sometime soon to come back and help some more like Lloyd and Martin to join those ranks, and you give them a good look over to ensure that they can then pass on that knowledge to our up and coming officials, because we need to keep that growing as well. So thank you very, very much, gentlemen.
I enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.